Good morning. Well, it is morning here, and today is actually the first day in like 1 month that I am just here in my home on my own and being able to take a little time for myself. And I've been really excited to be able to film again. I have had family in town for the last month, and it has been wonderful and so fulfilling. But also, it's September and it's starting to slow down a little bit and the weather is starting to change. And naturally, I'm just in that mode where I want to be a little bit quiet and, just kind of go inward a little bit. I also need to acknowledge before I get started that I have been getting comments on my videos, and a week ago I had like 4 subscribers, and as of today I have 38. And I know that for me that is huge and so exciting because like my whole reason I want to do this is I want to share what I've learned with others who are in similar situations as I have been. So much did not come easy for me, and I have just had so much that I've had to kind of overcome to feel like I could get anywhere. And anytime I'd set a goal, it felt like there were just so many other hurdles. And I actually got my degree in finance because I wanted to help other people with their finances. And that was like one of my first struggles. And I remember when I graduated, I was so excited. I was applying to different jobs. I was looking to be a financial advisor. And I didn't realize how they were so heavy in sales. First of all, I am not a salesperson. But on top of that, I remember asking after like my second or third interview, like, what if I don't meet these numbers? What if I don't it was all about like every month you had to sell a certain amount of this financial offering. And I asked somebody that in the interview, and they were like, well, you need to meet the numbers essentially. And I remember thinking like, this is not how I want to help people. I want to be authentic. I want to be real and honest. And that felt very heartbreaking because I was so like excited and focused to be able to help. And I put so much effort into getting that degree. And I just remember being like, all right, I really need to reassess then how I'm going to do this. And that was like a decade ago. And I feel like I had no idea all of these other hurdles I would be up against and how much more self-discovery I needed to experience. But honestly, like, since then, what I have like gone through in life and how much I have like been able to, the awareness I've gained to myself and my part in what these struggles have been has completely changed my life. And so that is why I started this channel. That is why I create these videos, so that I finally can just talk about what I want to talk about and share what I want to share to like the old version of me, the people who are just like me, the people who have had the same struggles. And, mine are specifically around a lot of, financial struggle, not having financial literacy growing up, also just different traumas I've experienced and how that's affected me, and like what mental health looks like for me, because it is not easy for me every day. And so just really being able to be honest and have a space to share that. And so seeing people subscribing and seeing your comments, it's like, it's letting me know that like you are my people and you get it. And like, that is why I want to do this. That is why I want to be vulnerable and share. And so I just want to say thank you, because I just feel so grateful that I have this space to do that. So anyway, I today actually want to talk about like having a broke mindset financially, but also this is what I've learned in my experience is all of this really is like, how are we seeing the world? And yeah, we can use money as the object we're talking about, but essentially how we do one thing is how we do everything. Mindset is huge. Half of my struggles were because I was not shown how to have a really optimistic, abundant mindset. And if you have it with one thing, you are likely going to have it with other things in your life, or you will start to learn, oh, you know what, if I apply it like this, like I see success over here, I'm going to apply it here. I just didn't have much of a foundation of that at all. So for me, I had to learn that too. And so I just want to, today we're just going to look at it as like what it looks like financially, but really this applies to everything. Broke, aka scarcity, aka lack, you know what I mean? Abundance, you can see it as wealth, you can see it as money, but really it's like seeing things like glass half full and knowing that there is enough for everybody and things like that. And ultimately, all of this stuff that's going on in our minds, our thoughts, their beliefs are thoughts we just continue to think. They are what we have picked up because of our environments. And especially as children, we can't change our environment. It takes until we get older. And then hopefully we are exposed to new things that actually give us the opportunity to say, oh, you know what? I'm not sure that I resonate with this anymore. I'm not sure this is my truth. I'm not sure like this is how I want to live my life. But that can be really hard to do when you don't see something else. And, you know, one of the things I remember for me is my major like dark night of the soul throughout my 20s was I hadn't witnessed a lot of like what I wanted. I had here and there, but it felt so unattainable to me. And I did remember though thinking my soul feels like it's so hard to connect to, but I can hear what it's telling me. I know that it's telling me like there's more. There's something else for me to have and be and experience in this world. And I know that these desires that I have, these ambitions are there because they're possible. Part of me believed they were possible. But I also, there's so much of my conditioning because of my environment and how I grew up and what I was exposed to that also would kind of like get louder than that and ruin it for me. So one of the first main beliefs that we have around a scarcity, lack, broke mindset is the idea that I can't afford this. So I am working a lot on my mindset right now when it comes to abundance and like attracting what I am attracting. And I'm just doing this in a way that like I'm coming at it from a new angle and perspective that I've never done before because I'm in a new season, you know, and it's always evolving. So this idea that like, I can't have this, I can't afford this, whatever that is for you, really, again, like that's like conditioning. That's a belief that we have learned or heard that doesn't actually have to be our truth. Now, that doesn't mean you need to go and buy the thing right away, but in your head, like, I can't afford this. I will buy this when the time is right, or I will have this experience when the time is right. And maybe I'm not supposed to do that in this moment, but I can't afford this. And I recently heard like our current lives are a reflection of our past thoughts. So everything that is current is based on what we have been believing in the past, because anything is going to take, you know, we live in an experience that is based on time and it is a little bit linear in like our perspective of it. So our thoughts right now are not going to create things like instantly. So our lives are a reflection of the thoughts that we have been having in the past. And then how many of those thoughts are just repetitive, are just, we've always been thinking them. So it is so easy to kind of have criticism and be skeptical about this. But if you haven't been conscious of what you've been thinking, then most likely you haven't given yourself the opportunity to actually have a different experience. And so I just feel like what's the worst that can happen by saying maybe I'm going to choose a different thought is like it gets a little bit better, or maybe it stays the same. I think we talk ourselves out of this stuff mostly because we just like don't want to put forth the effort to actually have different thoughts. And your critical mind that comes in is like more of your ego anyway. And personally, I don't want my ego running the show anymore. And although our egos are there to protect us, sometimes it does that in a way that is not productive. And it's a little too cautious. So yeah, that's that first one, just like this idea of I can't afford this, like applying that to anything, and monetarily, but also not monetarily, that is a broke mindset. Another one is like thinking that everything is too expensive. I love finding a good deal. I do. But I've never been actually cheap. And, I think that there is this thin line between wanting to be conscious of how we're spending our money and then being cheap. And especially when that is affecting other people. A big box chain store, okay, that's one thing. Wait till it goes on sale. But when you're supporting somebody else in what they are creating, money is essentially just energy. It's made up. Dollars are made up. We have created value to them. But what really is behind it is an energy. It's an exchange of energy. So if you're always putting out a cheap energy, you will get that back. If you don't value something that someone else put all this time and effort into, you are not going to get that value back. And so this idea that something is too expensive, which, like, listen, I'm talking about these because I have been guilty of this. And even when it's not about like being cheap, but just always thinking that it's not attainable for me, it's not serving me, and it's not serving the people around me. And I will never be able to have more if I don't believe that it's all possible and that I can have these things, and I can, like, that I am as worthy as the next person. So it's also like this idea that money is evil. I think a lot of us believe that certain people can have these things and we can't, and that it makes you bad. Who we are is who we are. Bad people are bad people, whether they have money or not. That is like what's going on within them. But money isn't bad. Again, it's energy. It's the exchange, the value we give it. It is what we expect it to do for us. But if we become aware of that, that also can shift. And wealthy people are not going around thinking, I can't afford this, that's too expensive, money is so bad. They're not. We, I think, create this idea, it's so black and white, of like, there are people who are wealthy and there are people who are not. But that is all based on a mindset. There are people in between. There are people who are going from having this broke mindset to becoming wealthy. And that is not because they have these same really limited thoughts. That's because they are doing this kind of work. That's because they are actually becoming aware and saying, maybe I will be more mindful of what my thoughts are, becoming aware of that, applying that to my life, and then seeing my life unfold and start to have these little micro shifts. And it's so much like, what are these beliefs, and what are the beliefs that we believe are so absolute but might not actually be so absolute? What if they could change and shift? And I would encourage you to pick something this week, a little topic where you can start to like bring in an affirmation that is the positive opposite of it. And let's say it is like, that's too expensive. Let's say that's something that you think about a lot. Or, even when you're just like looking at things online or in a magazine, and instead of seeing it and saying, oh, like, this is too expensive, I can't afford this, something like that, telling yourself like, I can't wait to have that. I can't wait till it's time to buy that. I can't afford this. I'm not going to do it right now. And you don't even have to go into that thought. Just like keep telling yourself, I can't afford this, but just don't go through with actually buying. And unless you want to, but like really just letting it be just about the belief and the mindset around it right now. And just doing that for a week and becoming more aware of when that thought comes up, when that belief comes up, and starting to explore it and saying like, what if this doesn't have to be true? What if this isn't my truth? What if I can afford this? What if that statement is something like looking back historically in your life Where did you first hear that? The people you were closest to, your caregivers growing up, like what were they saying about money? Did they also have a broke mindset? Most likely they did if you had it. And then saying like, but where did it come from them then? Like, where is this, like, what our truth needs to be? Maybe it doesn't need to be. And this also is like another aspect of this is the idea that there's never enough. This is a huge one. And, you know, we can't even prove if there is absolutely enough or not. We have just, so many of us have decided as a culture that there isn't enough for everybody. And therefore we have to be like mine, mine, mine. And that is also scarcity. And I think that this is one of the hardest ones to shift out of because it feels like one of those absolutes. But again, what if you just first started becoming aware of every time you felt that way? And it might not be the statement, there isn't enough for everybody, but it's understanding where that energy is being applied by you in different environments, in different situations. That has been a big one for me. And this all is like connected to, obviously the opposite is abundance, and really applying that to your life and seeing life from that perspective, from that set of beliefs. And your beliefs are not all going to just change overnight. You're not going to just suddenly go from having a broke mindset to feeling like full abundance. But you're also never going to feel more abundance if you don't start with just little baby steps. And in my experience, the most like transformative changes that have happened for me have come from taking little steps every single day, showing up to little things and trusting that, like, being dedicated and disciplined enough to want to see what will come of that. Nothing will change if you're constantly just seeing it as, that won't work for me. I already tried it. It didn't work for somebody else. I've seen too many bad things. Like, that all might have been your truth previously, but you need to let go of that, and you need to stop like attaching to these ideas and these stories that don't need to be yours anymore. And honestly, like, the biggest thing that gets in all of our way is that we will not have the dedication to actually show up for something for ourselves on a regular basis every single day. It does not have to be these huge, crazy things. You don't need to pay somebody else to tell you what to do every single day. And yeah, like, if that works and you're able to do that, that's awesome. But ultimately, we will never see the changes we are looking for if we don't, in our own minds, it's inside of us, if we don't connect to that dedication every day. I wanted to get healthier when I was just finishing high school, I think. And my weight had fluctuated a lot in high school, and it was really discouraging to me. And I had a lot of just like unproductive thoughts for myself. And I remember this guy who was like a great athlete and just really ambitious and all of that. And he gave me advice, and he said, you just have to want it badly enough. And that stuck with me. I mean, that was like over 20 years ago now. And why this matters, and it seems so simple, is like, what does that actually mean if I want something badly enough? We all want it. We think we want it the most, like it's just not happening for us. But like, what is happening between this desire of wanting it and it actually happening? It is every single day showing up, being dedicated, and being okay with not knowing how it's all going to unfold, but trusting that every single day, if we show up to like, I know today this is what I can do. I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and trust that I'm gonna know what that looks like tomorrow and the next day and the next day. And my mind will expand. My perspective will expand. My views will expand. And every single day I will get more knowledge to be able to actually carry that out. So wanting it badly enough is actually showing up and doing that for yourself. No one else can do this for you. And if you haven't seen somebody else do this and like actually show up for themselves every day, it's so hard. I know that. Man, there's so much that so many cycles I've broken, so many things that took me a lot longer to get to because I did give up sometimes. And thankfully, once I started to get a taste of that, like showing up for myself and actually feeling what that felt like and recognizing what that daily little bit of dedication did, and after like 30 days, let's say, looking back and being like, oh my God, I'm starting to see the shift. I'm seeing this change. That is what started to motivate me. And this has been going on for long enough now that like I don't even really have to think about it anymore. So wherever you're starting from, just know that you can do this. You have it in you. You can totally transform your life. You can go from having a broke mindset around every topic in life to having an abundant mindset. Be one of those stories that you are like, oh my God, I'm so inspired by this person. You are that person. You have absolutely as much potential as they do. And I want to see you do that. I want to hear about you doing that. And, you know, look for the people who inspire you and light you up. Find the books, find the shows, find the podcasts, the YouTube channels, whatever that looks like for you. You just, if you don't have it as people like in your life on a daily basis, we live in a time when it is so accessible to us, and that is such a blessing. So I would love to hear from you. What resonates with you here, and maybe what you're working on. What is a mindset that you've had that you isn't serving you anymore, or maybe one that you've already been able to shift? I would love to hear, share in the comments. If you would rather, talk about this privately, you can also message me on Instagram. I did share the link below to my Instagram. I'm not always as active on it with posting, but I am on there. So just let me know. I would love to hear from you. And again, thank you to the people who are here and subscribing and following and commenting and engaging and just liking in any of it, because honestly, like, I know there are so many people who are just having experiences like I am and want so much more and are working for so much more, and just sometimes need to hear that, like, it's going to be okay. And even though it might be hard to see the unfolding right now, like, everything you're doing is going to unfold. It's going to pay off. It's going to be worth it. No matter how hard or lonely it feels right now, I know. But just like trust that part inside of you, and it will all happen. And the last thing I'll say is my biggest regrets have only been the things where I've allowed things outside of me to influence my decision. I have never felt regret when I go inward and trust my own instincts and my gut on things. So just keep that in mind for anything, and I will talk to you next time.